Hello, welcome to the midweek message from Messiah Lutheran Church in Mechanicsville, Virginia. I am Pastor Ryan Radke, and we're continuing our series on prayer and different ways to pray. Should have had this out already. This is the book Soul Types. There you go. And it's a book by Sandra Krebs Hirsch and Jane A.G. Keyes. It took Myers-Briggs personality types. There's 16 different combinations of different factors that build those personality types. And this book took those different personalities and paired them and kind of cultivated and collected different spiritual practices and styles of prayer to go with each personality type, because each of us is uniquely created by our God. And so there isn't just one way to pray. There's as many ways to pray as there are people that God created. And that's good news, because that means there's lots of different ways that you can try out to find what works for you to keep your relationship with God healthy and keep that communication going. As I mentioned, I'm coming to you from Messiah Lutheran Church, and this wonderful painting was given for occasions just like this, where I'm sitting in my office and have a blank white wall, and you'd say, well, where are you recording from? Well, thank you to Michael Morris for this. He put it together, painted it. It's quite beautiful. So we'll have that up for the recording today until I have a surprise a little bit later. Uh, so welcome. Thank you for clicking and tapping and watching. We're going to continue on with Let's Pray Like This. Let's try praying like this week with the Prayer Labyrinth. So Prayer Labyrinth is the latest addition in our sampler platter of prayer to see what works for you. So a prayer labyrinth, maybe you've heard of this before, maybe not. I think they've become a little bit more common, a little more popular over the last couple of decades. A lot of churches, a lot of Bible camps have them. What is it? Well, it's like a full body prayer. You physically move through a prayer as you go through the path of the labyrinth. Instead of just a prayer coming out of you, you move through the prayer. You might remember a couple of weeks ago we had active prayer, we had some arts and crafts or exercise. Well, that's using your whole body to pray in a different way. This one is sort of a cross between the active prayer and that centering prayer, that quiet time. So you're moving through the labyrinth very intentionally with your whole body. So you're still giving your whole body to God, but in a different way. Labyrinths they might look like a maze. It's sort of like a maze, but it's not a maze. There's only one entrance and one exit. There's no dead ends or trick paths, no intersections where you have to choose which way to go. You just take a journey on the path as it winds around. What's it for? Um, a prayer labyrinth is for taking your time in prayer. You don't rush through it. It's not a race. It's for being really intentional um, about your prayer, lingering and dwelling in your prayer. It's a prayer that has structure, a beginning and an end, and maybe some stops on the way. But it also has freedom with the prayer labyrinth to pray whatever's on your mind as you go, or whatever inspires you. That would be sort of like that prayer walk we did a few weeks ago, where you just see what happens, except you're on this path. It's more an internal than a external stimuli. A prayer labyrinth is for meditation on God and what God's up to in your life. When could you use a prayer labyrinth? Well, you can use it lots of different ways, depending on what kind of labyrinth you have handy. If you have a portable one, I'll show you an example of that in a little bit. You could take it with you, use it anytime. If there is one that you know of that's like a permanent fixture someplace, at a church, at a retreat of some type, then you could use that whenever you have a chance to be there, when it's accessible. And same thing with where, it kind of goes together. Where could you use a prayer labyrinth? Well, if it's portable, wherever you are. If it's fixed, then wherever that is, whenever you're allowed to be in there and use it. How does a prayer labyrinth work? Well, there's a variety of ways you can use a prayer labyrinth. Some are outdoors, some are indoors, some are on paper or carved into stone or wood. Some are portable, like a little disc you can carry in your hand. Some are mowed into the grass, planted in flowers, laid out as a path with rocks. Some are a giant mat that you can put down on the ground or even taped out with masking tape on a rug. What they have in common is that they all involve starting at the entrance, pausing in the center, and then exiting, oftentimes the same way you came. They are not mazes. I want to stress that. It's not a puzzle. It's a path used for listening to God. And it's key that you take your time, that you move slowly through the labyrinth. Sometimes there are instructions about what to pray about. Sometimes there's even sort of stations or stops along the way, but more often than not, they are open-ended. Maybe there's some suggestions on what to do. I'll share one version of that in a little bit. But usually you just make your way through and meditate and center yourself on God and walk the path and see where on the path God is leading you in your life. We'll try it kind of in a little bit. Um, but since you can't usually just go out and draw a labyrinth on the ground, they take up a bit of room. Most folks don't have that much space. Um, like I said, they're outdoors or indoors. You never know, but they usually take up a big amount of space if it's the walking variety. Um, I would say use a portable one for this attempt. And I'm going to do a little show and tell right now. If you have a portable one, use a finger or a stylus or a pencil or something to go through it. We'll do that in just a second. But here, I'm going to try something I haven't tried before. I'm going to share my screen. I've even practiced and everything. So here we go. Hopefully you can all see this. Here are some visual examples of prayer labyrinths. So as you can see, we've got one mowed into the grass. There's a path there. This one is a path laid out with rocks. You've got this one here has different stations on the inside, little images on the ground to help you know what to pray for at different stages. A lot of them have this sort of flower in the middle. This is kind of a standard shape of one. As you can see, you can have more than one person in the labyrinth at a time. You just take your time and you're not interacting. This one's made with bricks. There's different shapes to the labyrinths. Here's another version with these two. Here's an indoor mat with candles around the outside. There's one in the woods, strewn out with path. This one's kind of neat. This looks like it has sand. This one's a little more colorful. Here's another inside one put into the floor. This one again has the prayer stations, the numbers inside. Another indoor one with candles. This is a cool mosaic one right here. Here's a different shape, a little different style out in the garden. This would be an example of a wooden one. It would just fit in the palm of your hand. And you'd have a little stylus or a pencil or something, and you'd follow the path with that instead of your feet. Here's one that's kind of a clover leaf shape. Here's one that's a cross shape, a little bit different, but you can see they always still have a beginning and an end, and then you make your way back up. Here's one with bricks. There's one more I wanted to show you. Here's a double of the wooden variety right here. Again, this is lots of different styles and shapes. Another colorful one. I think you get the idea. Okay, now I have to unshare the screen. There we go. So as we try this, hold on. Now we're working. So as we try this, there we go. I'm gonna take this beautiful painting down and show you the surprise. Look what I got up there. That's a labyrinth on the wall. Hopefully you can see it. I have a pencil with me right here. So you can use a finger or a pencil on the labyrinth, and you slowly trace the path of the labyrinth. On your way to the center, here's my suggestion for you trying it at home. Go online, find one of those printouts, or there should be one attached to the handout that is handy with this video. As you go through, just trace it with the pencil, and on your way to the center, I want you to talk to God about what went on in your life throughout the last year, or since 2020 seems like multiple years packed into one, you could do the last week, the last day, the last month, whatever it is. But on the way in, think about, pray about, talk to God about the past stretch of time. Pause for a little while in the center. Ask God about what He wants you to be up to right now. Take time to listen. Combine that with, on your way back out, talk to God about what the coming year, month, week, day has in store for you. You can try it by yourself. You can try it with others where you each walk the path and then share afterwards. Um, you can also do your own Google search of images of prayer labyrinths and see the variety, see some real life ones, some drawings. There you go. But here we go. On the way in, You find the entrance is right down here at the bottom. So you could pray about what has been. And for me, I could pray about the text I received, like that one that just came in, all the various hoops we've had to jump through for housing, the winding path it's taken for our family to arrive here at this call and in this place. Talk about saints gone before as we're coming up on All Saints Sunday. Talk about my mom who passed away 6 years ago, earlier this month. What she meant to me. And clearly I'm rushing this. I don't go this fast at home. Could pray about my kids and how much they've grown up as I look back on memories on Facebook and the good times, the things that I've maybe missed, where our family has been through all of this. And think back through different people I've known, impact they've had on my life, prayers I would give to God for them. I could think about and pray about to God about this last week, having a memorial service at church for a beloved member of the congregation, moving services back inside for the first time, and how that made for a very full weekend, but a very good weekend in the life of the church. Think about meetings we've had and the steps we've taken to try to do the right thing and our rules and our protocols and our protections as we do move back inside the building. Think through all the honking horns we've had for sharing the peace, how much that has made me smile. Just keep thinking through the past. Let your mind go different places as you make your way through the labyrinth on your way to the center. As you center yourself on God, you can start thinking about where God has been in all of that it's come before. You get to the middle and you pause. What now, God? What paths are you placing me on now? What is still to come? Where are you in my life right now? Where am I seeing you? Where am I hearing you? Then you turn around and go back the way you came and you follow all the curves and zigzags back again and you pray about what is to come. You pray about what it will mean to move inside, what the winter will be like, what we'll do if there's rain, if there's snow as we worship again, how we continue to keep each other safe. What will it be like for Advent and Christmas? What if this is still going on in Easter? God be with me through all of that. God be with me as we move into a house. What will we find as we open boxes? Will our possessions be safe? They are just possessions, but they represent a lot. What will it be like to finally be in a house again? Will there be problems? Will there be unexpected surprises? Probably. What does the future of the ministry here look like as we are still stuck apart? How do we serve people online? How do we meet people where they're at? How do we get back into the community in safe ways when a lot of people aren't venturing out into the community? How will we know people's needs? I guess my future is a lot of what ifs, what will we do's, but I'm in a planning mode right now. Each time you journey through the labyrinth, it'll probably be a different journey. That's just one way you could do it. Your setup, your stations, your pattern could be very different or none at all. You could just go on that walk, go on that journey, and see where the prayers take you. Like I said, you can do it by yourself, you can do it with others. This is a flexible prayer that fits lots of different personality types because you can use it in lots of different ways. But it's a good prayer. If you've never had a chance to walk through a labyrinth, I hope you can find one. I'm sure there's some outdoor ones around here. I'll try to look them up and share those. But have that opportunity. If you can't find a place outside, or if you're not comfortable going outside yet, or can't find a place that's open to do it, then go ahead and print one of these out or order one of the handheld ones online and give it a try. The goal that I want to get across to you with this prayer is just to remember that prayer isn't something to be checked off your to-do list. Well, I prayed today. That can be a trap that you fall into with some of the other types of prayer that we've shared. But It takes time. You don't need to rush it. Prayer, like our lives, is a journey with a beginning and an end, and God is always with us along the path. So don't rush it. Don't rush that conversation or that journey, or you might miss out on what God is trying to tell you, what God has in store for you, the blessings that God has placed in your path. Thank you. Next week we'll have another. It's another very different type of prayer. But again, I hope that over the course of this series, this kind of prayer buffet, that you're finding something that feeds you. So keep praying for one another, checking on one another, loving one another, and serving one another. And we will do this again next week. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you soon.